Have you ever sat in a meeting or a classroom desperately building a five-star sentence in your mind, but stayed completely silent because you were terrified of making a tiny grammar mistake?
Oh, absolutely. We overthink every single word and play the editor in our brains, completely forgetting that making mistakes is not a personal failure, but just another rep in our confidence gym.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're jumping into our Skillify English series, specifically focusing on their story-based English learning approach.
Yeah, we've got a really great stack of resources for this one. Some recent cognitive linguistics research, some behavioral psychology notes, and of course, the core Skillify curriculum itself.
Right. And our mission today is really to figure out the psychology behind why this mental paralysis happens to so many language learners. And, more importantly, to give you practical tools to break out of that trap so you can start speaking confidently right now.
Exactly. And for everyone listening, I want to set the tone right away. We are intentionally designing this deep dive for clear, slow to moderate A1 to A2 comprehension.
Yeah, so the pace will be relaxed. The vocabulary is super accessible. Just let the English wash over you like calm background music.
Right. Focus on the overall feeling of the conversation. There is zero need to stress over catching every single word.
Because learning should feel like a discovery, not a test. So diving right in, the root of this silent panic, it isn't actually a vocabulary problem, right?
No, not at all. I mean, the words are already in your head. You can probably read them perfectly on a page. The issue is entirely biological. It's a freeze response.
Oh, wow. A freeze response.
Yeah. When you try to speak a new language, especially in front of other people, your brain basically misinterprets the situation as a high-stakes physical threat.
It's triggering that fight, flight, or freeze mechanism in your nervous system, so we just freeze up. But, where does that perceived threat even come from? We're not being chased by a bear in a corporate meeting?
Right, right. Well, the behavioral psychology notes point heavily to our early school memories. Think about how language is traditionally taught to children all over the world.
It's super strict, right? Intensely rules-based.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are constantly graded on accuracy. I usually refer to this as the strict teacher phenomenon.
Okay.
You finally gather the courage to speak up in class, you make a tiny, completely normal pronunciation mistake, and the teacher publicly stops the entire lesson to correct you.
Ugh, yeah, that is brutal. It basically teaches your developing nervous system this really damaging lesson that speaking is dangerous and silence is safe.
Yep. And even as an adult professional, that strict teacher is still living in your head, holding a red pen, just grading every single thought before you allow it to reach your mouth.
Which pushes us into this crippling perfectionism. And, this perfectly brings up the first stop on our word tour today, which is the word overthink.
Ah, yes, overthink, which basically just means analyzing a thought so heavily or thinking about something so much that it physically prevents you from acting or speaking.
Exactly. We overthink the grammar in our working memory, and if we detect even the slightest flaw, we just refuse to say it out loud.
It's so true.
It's really like waiting at a bus stop for the perfect bus. You're standing there, a bus pulls up, and it's a perfectly fine bus. It has wheels, an engine. It'll get you where you need to go.
Right. It works.
But maybe the paint is a little chipped, or, it's just not your favorite color. So you tell yourself, well, no, I'll just wait for the next one.
And you just let all these functional, okay buses pass you by.
Exactly. Until eventually you're left standing in the cold, totally alone, and the conversation has moved miles down the road without you.
You wait so long to construct that flawless thought that the topic just completely changes. And the crazy irony here is that hours later, when you're at home in the shower and the pressure is totally off.
The perfect sentence finally arrives. Your brain suddenly delivers this amazing fluent speech to your shampoo bottle.
Because the strict teacher's finally gone to sleep.
Yeah.
The perceived threat is gone, so the nervous system relaxes.
Yeah.
But in the actual meeting, we just overthink the situation into oblivion.
Right, we analyze it so heavily, running it through all these defensive mental filters that we just physically cannot open our mouths.
And that level of overthinking guarantees that you will choose the safety of silence over the vulnerability of real human connection, like every single time.
Which is heartbreaking. But breaking that mental loop seems really hard when your nervous system is convinced you're in actual danger. So how do we physically step onto one of those imperfect buses in the real world?
Well, let's look at a case study from the linguistics research we pulled. There was this brilliant student named Maya. Now, on paper, Maya had a massive vocabulary.
Right.
She understood complex verb tenses. Her written exams were totally flawless. But in an unscripted, face-to-face conversation, She would go completely silent.
Because her brain was treating the live conversation like a high-stakes written exam. She was trying to pre-write everything.
Exactly. While someone was talking to her, Maya was frantically drafting a response in her working memory. She'd review it, find a tiny flaw, completely tear the whole sentence down, and start rewriting it from scratch.
Which is an insane cognitive load. I mean, human working memory is like a computer's RAM, right? It can only hold a tiny amount of information at one time.
Yes, exactly. And when you try to process complex grammar rules,
Yeah.
search for advanced vocabulary, and monitor your pronunciation all at the exact same time, you just exceed that capacity.
Right. Which brings up our second tour word for today, scrambled.
Scrambled, yeah, like eggs.
Exactly like eggs. When you try to cook 5 complicated meals in a single tiny pan, everything just gets scrambled. It gets mixed up into a confusing, chaotic mess in your head. The output just stops, and you're stuck on mute.
That is the perfect way to describe it. But Maya actually found her way out of that cognitive overload
Yeah.
by making this really profound mental shift. She stopped trying to build perfect sentences, and she focused entirely on speaking present sentences.
A present sentence. I like that. So that just implies using whatever simple, true words are currently available in your mind right in that exact moment.
Without running them through the internal editor first.
Yes.
It's raw, it's immediate, and it's honest.
Wha-
If her brain only served up the words, "I agree," very good idea, she just said that out loud. She stopped trying to internally translate this huge formal paragraph about being in complete accordance with an excellent proposal. She just spoke the present truth.
That's huge. We always assume native speakers are sitting there like mentally grading our prepositions, but in reality, they just want to understand your ideas. They want a human connection.
Exactly. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with presence. Once you embrace presence over perfection, your actual personality gets to shine through.
But, okay, embracing presence is a great mindset shift. But the research says a mindset shift isn't enough on its own, right? We need an actual tool to physically bypass that panic lock.
We do. Because jumping from complete silence to a long, complex sentence is a massive leap. Your brain looks at that huge gap, registers it as a high risk of failure, and basically aborts the mission.
So we need a bridge, something to break that leap into smaller, safer steps.
Yes. And that is where the one-to-one bridge comes in. It bypasses the fear response by relying on the psychological concept of chunking. You start incredibly small.
Okay, how does it work?
Step 1, you just say a single, simple sentence of maybe 3 or 4 words, just a basic subject and verb.
Okay, simple enough.
Step 2, you add 2 detailed words. Just drop them in. Don't worry about connecting them with fancy grammar. By the time you've done that, your mouth is moving, the panic is fading.
And your brain naturally serves up a slightly longer third sentence to finish the thought. It's like laying down stepping stones across a river.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's role play it. If I ask you a standard everyday question like, do you like coffee? You wouldn't try to build a massive paragraph.
Right, I'd use the bridge. So first, one simple sentence, yes, I do. Then 2 loose detail words. Strong, no sugar. Finally, a slightly longer sentence. It helps me wake up fast.
Perfect. So putting that together,
Yes, I do. Strong, no sugar. It helps me wake up fast.
it feels entirely natural, doesn't it? It communicates your point perfectly without sounding like a robotic textbook.
It really does. It feels super safe, too. Like you don't have to navigate this maze of verb tenses to say, I have always preferred my coffee to be heavily caffeinated without any sweetening agents.
Which nobody actually says in real life anyway.
Right. And it works for anything. If someone asks us, how was your day? I can just say, it was okay, busy, slow. So I'm a little tired now. It forces you back into genuine human communication.
It really does. But here's the catch. The stepping stones work beautifully when you actually have those first few simple words ready to go.
Yeah.
But sometimes a question comes your way
Yeah.
and your brain just completely blanks out, just a loading screen.
Oh, I know that feeling. So how do you step onto the bridge when you don't even have the first stone ready?
Well, the behavioral psychology data gives us a really clear biological rule for this. It's called the 2-second start. You absolutely must begin engaging your vocal cords within 2 seconds of being asked a question.
2 seconds. That is incredibly fast. Why is that specific window so critical?
Because it's the biological window before the amygdala, which is your brain's fear centrally takes over the prefrontal cortex.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If you sit in silence for 3, 4, 5 seconds, your brain stops searching for vocabulary. It pivots to threat assessment. It starts worrying about being judged, and it tries to construct a bulletproof novel to protect you.
So you have to start making sound before that fear response takes root.
Mm.
But I mean, if my brain is still loading the English vocabulary, speaking within 2 seconds seems impossible. I can't just make random noises,
Well, no, no. You use soft starters.
Hmm.
These are natural filler phrases that you memorize perfectly, so they require zero cognitive load.
Like what?
Phrases like, well, or actually, or to be honest,
Mm.
or even, let me think about that for a second. They buy your brain time to search for words while your mouth is already physically moving.
Okay, I have to challenge that a little bit, though. If a coworker asks me a direct question and I slowly say, well, to be honest, let me think about that for a second. Isn't it glaringly obvious that I'm just stalling? I'd worry that makes me look less capable.
I hear you. But linguistic analysis actually shows that native speakers do this constantly. Natural conversation is never a perfectly smooth highway. People hesitate, they change direction, they stall for time.
Which actually brings us to our third word on the word tour, potholes.
Potholes, yes. Those annoying holes or bumps in the surface of a road.
Right. And conversations naturally have these gaps or bumps, like potholes in a road. There are always sudden stops in real dialogue. So a soft starter is basically acting like the suspension on a car. It absorbs the shock of that gap so you don't crash the sentence.
Exactly, it's a mental cushion. For a language learner, silence feels like a danger zone.
Yeah.
You panic. But when you deploy a soft starter, you take command of that silence.
You signal to the listener that you're engaged in preparing an answer.
Right. It transforms an awkward silence into just a normal, natural rhythm of the conversation.
Okay, so we've beaten the biological clock with a soft starter. We're walking across our 1-2-1 bridge, but what happens when we're halfway through a thought and we completely lose our balance?
The mid-sentence crash.
Yes. You pick the wrong verb tense, or you realize you're missing a crucial vocabulary word. How do you recover without spiraling right back into that old schoolroom panic?
The very first step is shattering the illusion that fluency means perfection. We have to normalize making mistakes mid-sentence. Native speakers lose their train of thought or mangle sentences every single day.
It's so true. We do it all the time.
The difference is their reaction. They don't freeze in terror. They don't look embarrassed and apologize. They just stop, redirect, and keep going.
They just abandon the sinking ship and build a new one right there. But doing that in a second language requires an actual strategy, right?
Yes. We call it the reset and repair method. It handles the emotional panic and the grammatical tangle at the exact same time. When you realize you're stuck, the absolute worst thing you can do is apologize.
Really?
Yes. Apologizing damages your perceived authority way more than a grammar mistake does. Instead, you perform a reset. You pause, you smile slightly, and you deploy a phrase like, wait 1 second, or let me say that again.
Oh, I see. You're dictating the terms of the pause. You're preserving your dignity as a communicator.
Yes, exactly. And then comes the repair. You completely drop the complicated grammatical maze you were trapped in, and you simplify the message down to its core using a repair phrase like, so basically, the main idea is,
Okay, let me try this. If I'm trying to tell you about my weekend, and I start saying, last weekend we traveled to the coast because we were anticipating the atmospheric conditions would, and then my brain just completely stalls out on the vocabulary.
right,
Instead of freezing, I just smile and say, wait 1 second. Basically, it rained, so I stayed home.
yes. Notice the power in that pivot. You took a detour, but you arrived at the destination. The listener absolutely does not care that you abandoned your original sentence structure. They just want to know what happened over the weekend.
You kept the human connection alive. Okay, so we've covered the psychology of the perfect sentence trap, the neurobiology of the 2-second start, and practical tools like the bridge and the reset. But, just understanding this intellectually isn't going to magically rewrite your nervous system.
No, it won't. You cannot think your way out of a physiological freeze response. Your brain needs physical evidence of safety to permanently turn off that strict teacher.
So how do we get that physical evidence?
The Skillify curriculum tackles this with the daily 30-second voice note habit. It creates this completely safe, zero-pressure environment to build neuroplasticity.
A daily 30-second recording on your phone.
Yep. Every single day, you open your voice recorder app and you speak in English for exactly 30 seconds. But to make it effective, there are 3 rules.
Okay, what are the rules?
First, you are strictly forbidden from stopping to correct your grammar. If you mess up, you just keep the flow going. This trains your brain to survive the mistake without the amygdala sounding the alarm.
Okay, that's huge.
Second, you use a simple sentence shell to begin, like, I usually, but today. It just completely removes the friction of starting.
Love that.
And third, you must include a feeling word, like tired, proud, excited. This forces you to practice emotional expression, not just reciting robotic facts.
Which brings us to our fourth and final word on the word tour, tying all the way back to our intro, rep.
Ah, yes, rep, which is short for repetition.
Right. It's like building a muscle in the gym. You don't get stronger by reading a book about lifting weights. You have to physically lift the weight. Every single 30-second voice note is a rep.
Exactly. You are physically training your vocal cords and rebuilding self-trust. One small promise, one small exposure at a time.
You're proving to your nervous system day after day that you can speak, make a mistake, and survive completely unharmed.
That is the magic of it.
So let's synthesize everything we've uncovered today. I think the fundamental shift here is realizing that fluency just isn't about flawless textbook grammar. It's simply about getting your point across in real-world conversations.
Your English does not need to be flawless to be beautiful and highly effective. When you finally let go of that strict teacher in your head, you make room for genuine connection.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, this is the moment to stop waiting for that perfect bus. Step out of your comfort zone, trust the words you have right now, and allow yourself to speak messy.
Yes, just your present voice and speak messy. It truly is the only way to move forward.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive into the perfect sentence trap, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over on your own today. We've spent a lot of time analyzing the fear of being judged by native speakers, right?
Right.
But what if we have that dynamic completely backward?
In what way?
Think about it. What if the native speakers you're so terrified of being judged by are actually far more focused on understanding your unique ideas than grading your grammar?
Oh, wow.
Like, could it be that your imperfect, messy English, the very thing you're desperately trying to hide, actually makes you a much more authentic, relatable, and approachable human being to connect with? Maybe the vulnerability of making a mistake is exactly what draws people to you.
That's a really powerful reframing.
So the next time you're sitting in a meeting, desperately building that 5-star sentence in your mind, remember that the confidence gym is open. It's time to get your reps in. Thanks for listening and keep diving deep.